right, guys, welcome to another very special episode of Overshot Paintball Podcast. Real quick, just got to plug those who help us get this going, and then we'll work on our special guest here because we forgot to hit the record. He was telling some juicy nuggets, so I'm just gonna rattle off a couple sponsors. First one, you guys always know, Dizana Sports, makers of the Grind Air gloves, the SF joggers. We're gonna have Overshot joggers coming out. We actually just had our team. We're working on a little bit of a team, so we're going to get them outfitted with the new jerseys. Overshot Factory. They just placed fourth place at an EPL this past weekend. We're working on the joggers as well for our factory team, as well as some for those for you guys that are just fans of the show. And then the next one up, Volcano. They make those new backpacks that everybody's been seeing around. Nick Sloviak's been rocking one. They're all over Instagram, so we just partnered up with them. So for Overshot, definitely use for Dizana Sports, use code Overshot for 10% off. And then for Volcano, use code Overshot10 for 10% off. And let them know that we sent you. But before anything more, we'll get a couple more sponsors. We got Ryne Broshears of Free Parking. We actually spoke with Ronnie. That's how I ended up finding him out. He was all over the Ronnie episode. We ended up kind of talking a little bit, and now he's kind of coming off a big D3 X-Ball win for his program, and his program is a little bit more special. It's kind of anyone can play type of thing. It's a place for everyone to find a home, but I'll let him kind of kick it off. And yeah, man, congrats first on that D3 X-Ball win, and just kind of go through that process, because was that your guys' first D3 event? Was that your guys' first X-Ball event?
That was our first D3 event. It was our third X-Ball event as a program. The event before, we actually put two teams into D4 X-Ball at MPPL, and we had to play each other in the quarterfinals first round because our X-Balls line ended up being seeded first seed and eighth seed, leaving the prelims. So by luck of how APPA structures going into the next round in the draw, we had to play ourselves. So we kind of said, let's not do this again. This sucks. For everybody at the event, they said they loved to watch it. It was kind of a great thing. They're like, hey, we got to see this program have to knock itself out. Which, one of our teams knocked the other team out. That was the way that one had to end. There was no other way around that.
Right.
So going into the third event, we told ourselves, well, even though we're all ranks D4, we feel that if we grab a couple D2 players, which D3 allows you to take two D2 players and roster them, we should fend pretty well for ourselves. And, of course, reach out to Ronnie Dizan, who acts as a coach to our program anyways, to have him actually come to the event to be the one in charge, which was a huge contributor in itself. Because we ended up grabbing Michael Unger, who actually plays for San Diego Aftermath. We're just lucky that he's ranked D2 because he got onto the team during COVID season, so he hasn't actually played rostered an event with Aftermath, but he's definitely that caliber of player. So, and he proved it out there. I mean, he won numerous situations for us on the field that allowed us to keep moving on. And then we also had a pickup of a guy named Tim Santee, who played for D3 or D2 faction, but he's ranked D2. He's actually permanently joined the Free Parking organization because we're actually going to be doing tryouts for a D2 and D3 NXL line next season. The tryouts are October 10th, but the line is for next season, hoping that we get a NXL season, which from what I hear, we're going to one way or another. Hopefully we should. And with what seems to be Cup happening, that's a show, even if it's a more limited spot in XL season, I hope we get something on the more national level. If it's to see friends, sponsors, or man, it's just cool to travel for paintball. Let's be honest. I mean, the NXL in itself is fun, but it's more so, I think for us at least, it's the experience. Like last year, our first real travel event as a team was we went to World Cup, and we drove down there. We rented a van and we took my truck. And going through Tennessee, actually, one of the calipers on my truck ended up snapping both its bolts going through the mountains. So it was just riding on the drum going to Atlanta. So we had to stop by the Chevy dealership and wait 3 or 4 hours for them to basically rebuild the brakes. And I drive a 2016 Chevy, so it's a newer truck. So it wasn't expected for this to happen. We definitely were like, oh, we should take my vehicle, we'll be good. But it also has a bed with a big cap on it, so we can shove all the gear we want and lock it when we stay at hotels and be a little more secure.
Right.
But when we went to World Cup was actually the first time we started working with Ronnie Dizon. We did our first clinic with him privately as a team, just to have him kind of help us, to take that step next further. Because as a D5 program, up until World Cup, we hadn't podiumed anything. We'd made it out of prelims plenty of times, but we'd always fall short at 6th or 5th. We'd never see it past that quarterfinal stage, or into the semifinals. Right. So we figured, hey, why not pay what's arguably one of the best pros that you can in the game today to help give us, the mental knowledge of that next step that we needed to perform. Because you can learn so much, I think, as a player, just going out there and grinding against a higher level team every week, or drilling, or even watching BKI videos, or searching YouTube, or whatever resources you find to become a better player. But ultimately, one-on-one, face-to-face, on the field, with them giving you their personal attention, there's just something different that can be given to you from a pro directly, at least a pro like a Ronnie Dizon, or a coach like Ryan Brand, or Chad George, Keith Brown, these guys who operate in arguably the top 5, top 10 teams in the NXL that have multiple podiums, World Cup victories, series title victories, and I've won in every level and every stage, from MPPL to PSP to X-Ball to now what we have, the NXL. And because I think as a kid I was watching Chad George in MPPL and PSP playing different teams. Ronnie not so much. I know he played PSP, but Ronnie wasn't quite old enough to be playing when I was in middle school. I'm only 32. Our age gap's not that big. But back to the main point, it's just, we figured, hey, let's get him out and obviously compensate him for his time, but at a very fair rate, to have him unload a little bit of knowledge that he's picked up. And by doing that, we traveled to World Cup and saw our first podium as a program in D5 3-man, which, it's not X-Ball, it's not even 5-man, but it was a start. It was a place for the program to say, okay, we're in the right direction, because there was 53 teams. We started playing at 8 a.m. and we didn't end until dark. Our final point, which was horrible because we were in all white jerseys, because we went down there as the Chicago Claws, and we made these jerseys to look like almost White Claw cans, and then we took the little aliens from Toy Story that were going the claw in the middle, just to kind of make a little fun troll on it all, and just to go down there. Like, we had a couple guys who are, they're in the 19, 20, 21 range, a little more into the Instagram scene. And they're like, we'll get so much clout, the Instagram will see it. They'll love this. This is fly. This is saucy. And I'm just like,
whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Like, y'all want to wear that. Yeah. If y'all want to wear that and y'all are willing to come play, then I'll wear that. I don't care. So we had a lot of fun. And going into that last point, it was dark out, and all white. We had to be glowing, and the other team was in, I think, black and red or something, and the bunkers were black. So of course we're sticking out like sore thumbs, and we're just like, just roll your guns in the lanes and they'll run through them eventually. Go out there with 10 pods and close your eyes, because that's about what it was like. Because you can imagine the D5 3-man field's not going to get the most love when it comes to lighting or any accommodations. They're like, oh, you guys are still playing? Okay. So we rocked it out and took third, and didn't get any money, but got a nice little trophy and got to dance around on the stage and jump around, and it refueled a fire for all the guys in our program. And at that time, I think we were maybe 12 guys, 13 guys. And so we were going into what was considered the off season. And going into the off season, we started taking refuge at O'Hare, because in the wintertime in Chicago, you don't have many choices. You're not going to go play outside with the wind and the elements. And unfortunately, O'Hare did close down. So this season, we're going to have to find a way to Wisconsin or find a way to Michigan for the next closed indoor field. But
throughout the winter, we did like another 6 or 7 camps and clinics with Ronnie, and also I would come up from Indianapolis, and we did camps and clinics as large as I think 35 people. We've never tried to go much above that number, and I think that's mainly just to allow a better experience per person, because most of our camps, when they're the one-day camps, you're under $150 per person with their paint for 1 to 2 pros and their learning experience. And by we just think that is good balance, and almost everybody who's been going to them in some way or another has either found their way to a higher level team or to multiple podiums, because since that cup podium, I think we've picked up another 6 podiums, being HK 7-man in Cali. We went and won 3rd, and most of my guys, we went there blind, never seen the layout. 7-man is that's a
different
tantrum or Dare video that no one remembers, at most they've seen it on YouTube. Let alone uncapped semi. We removed the ramping from the game, so they weren't allowed to ramp, and they're just looking at us like we're just like, I don't know. Coming from the Midwest, it was 119 degrees, I think, on Saturday at ASG Park in Paris, California, and we were half heat stroked. And by the time we finished our prelims, we were 8-2 out of 10 matches, and we're like, we did what?
Yeah, I was watching on the webcast, and you guys were killing it.
Yeah, and every time we were out there, I was yelling like a crazed man, but that's, like I said, I think I was heat stroked, and it was just what felt natural. And we were just out there doing this and yelling and screaming, and then they'd fly, and we just shoot as much paint as we could at everybody we could, and definitely came out doing better than we thought. I mean, in almost, I think, every situation, even this D3 X-Ball win. I think when we signed up for D3 X-Ball, most people probably laughed. Because one, we never podiumed an X-Ball event, let alone a D4 X-Ball event or even a D5 X-Ball event. We 3-man, 7-mans. We've never podiumed a 5-man. So to just jump into D3 X-Ball, I think some of the teams there, like Scrub Status or Flint City Crew or even Blast Camp are like, yeah, okay, guys. And
right.
We showed up and played the best paintball we ever played. You could say, yeah, we had Ronnie Dizon as our coach, and that was a great contributing factor. I mean, but Blast Camp had semi-pro Jackson Frey as their coach, and they had 2 semi-pro players on their line, John Eckert and Cody LaPapa, which are both fantastic players. So outside of Unger and Tim Santi, we had a line of D4 players that have had 2 to 3 X-Ball experiences, and never a podium. And it was literally that we listened to everything Ronnie told us to do, and we played with the best confidence we could. And at the end of the day, we outplayed every team, and we won. And it was nice because we learned that day that paintball's a lot cheaper when you win. It's a whole lot cheaper. We actually didn't have to pay a paint tab because the MPPL's first place for D3 X-Ball is $3,000. So it was actually enough money to cover our paint tab, put money back into the account, pay our entry into the next event, and give us a little paint credit. So, our plans to go into event 4 and just win that again, because again, it's cheaper, and COVID and everything going on, saving money is kind of the way to go, we feel.
Yeah, right. It's like, hey guys, let's just do that again. Wasn't that great?
Yeah, and also if we do it again, no one can say it was a mistake. That's, I guess, the other way to look at it is if we do it twice in a row, then you can't say it was accident, by chance. Anybody can do it once. It's like a buddy of mine used to always tell me, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn now and then, but try to repeat it. And hopefully, from what I understand, Ronnie's going to be back out there with us on October 3rd to coach that event, because I think even for him, he wants to see it done. And I think us winning D3 Expo helped kind of proves that what we're doing with these camps and inside the free parking program and what we've started building, it legitimizes us. It legitimizes what we're doing, because we didn't go beat scrubs. We went and arguably beat the best teams the Midwest had to offer if not some of the best teams that paintball has to offer today. I mean, if you look in our area alone, Blast Camp Revolution, Wisconsin Infamous, Aftershocks, not what they used to be, but you've had teams like Project Mayhem, you've had Distortion. There's been numerous Midwest teams that have dominated or are dominating in their respected classes or divisions in paintball. And we're definitely the new kids on the block in the Midwest, but I think we became the loudest, the fastest. We've done this in almost under a year, and that hasn't made everybody the warmest to us, because
there's always haters, dude.
And Ronnie told me one day when somebody that I had a good relationship with was starting to go sour, he's like, hey, listen, you're doing something right when you start making enemies. And that's all there is to it. You're not going to get there. You're not going to achieve what you want if you don't make any enemies along the way. He said, and it just is what it is. And it's not personal, and it's not. And I think a lot of times in this sport, when fields or teams or people go at each other, they're not even going at each other personally. It's more so we're such a small market or such a niche corner that, there's only 20 pro teams. So every time a new big team shows up saying, I'm wanting one of those pro spots, well, that's cutting that cake in half by that much more. I mean,
right.
It's not like as the sport grows, we grow that pro division that everybody wants to have a team in, and it's by invitation only. And there's really, truly should only be one way to get there, and that's by winning out semi-pro. But as we've seen in the last season, there's
other ways.
Mergers that can happen to allow teams to advance and take spots. Or we can just call them buyouts, because that's what they are. I'll just call them that. NRG Elite and Level Up. It is what it is. They bought PC Katana.
And they're not shy about it. They've flat out said they've paid for their spots.
Yeah. You see some parts in the sport where people want to politically dance around titles or dance around the way you phrase things. And I don't know if it's to save face or if it's to have an appearance, but I grew up playing the sport back in 97. I was 9 years old the first time I played. And I grew up playing outside of San Antonio, Texas, Crossfire Paintball, Paintball Nights, Predator Paintball Park, and then older Crossfire Paintball. And it was a lot louder, a lot more in your face kind of scene back then, or just vibe. Like there wasn't, it was almost more paintball to be confrontational than it was not to be. It was, the Chris Lasoyas, when I'm on the field, I'll beat your effing head in and shoot you dead in your face. I mean, we can be friends afterwards, but we're at war right now and we're going to fight. And if you want to get loud, I'll swing. Like, this can go past the paintball gun. And that's just kind of the environment I think I was bred into. And I think you're seeing a lot of guys get back into the sport that were bred into that environment. I think we took our break in our mid to late 20s to advance ourselves in our personal lives. If it's family, houses, have the money to get where you need, because paintball is expensive. And the more money you have in paintball, the further you can get. That's just the truth.
Those are just facts.
No one wants to recognize that, but if you look at the top three, if you look at the top three teams in the pros, they have the most money. You can't compete. I mean, I think the top three owners have more money than every other owner combined.
For sure.
But that attitude, I think, was part of my draw to the sport as a kid, because it was a safe way to channel it. You couldn't go to school and you couldn't act like Chris Lasoya in class. You're going to get suspended. You're going to end up too much trouble. I mean, the football field, you could kind of get away with it, but at the paintball field, somebody could talk shit. Somebody could talk smack, and you could be like, let's one-on-one. And you could put 10 balls into the side of their head if you caught them slacking. and walk away with a smile on your face, knowing you caused them a little bit of pain, but it was all in fun of the game. Like, it is what it is, you know.
Right.
Overshooting doesn't exist, and guys who say it does, they're cut from a lot softer cloth. And I have my own players that like to say it, and I'll tell them they're soft. I tell them all the time, you're soft. Overshooting doesn't exist. Get off the field fucking faster.
Exactly,
you know,
dude.
when
Exactly.
you put your gun up, just because they don't stop shooting your bunker doesn't mean you get to stay there. Get out of your bunker and keep going. And if they do put some extra balls into your head, look across the field, see who it was, and next time you go on the field, return the favor. Or run down the field and bunker them. I'm 350 pounds, and I run down the field and bunker people, and they piss me off all the time. Mainly because they say I won't, and then I do it. And normally it gets on video, and we post it somewhere, and we laugh about it. Because that's the awesome thing about today compared to when we were kids. We can record everything. GoPros are cheap. You know?
Right.
I wish we had. No, actually, I'm glad we didn't have GoPros when we were kids. But the thought is, if we could look back on some of it, it would be fun. But yeah, you know, growing up with that attitude and in that style, also at the paintball field growing up, you know, anybody was welcome and you could play with anybody in Texas. There was pickup paintball. That was a big thing. Is I don't think for the first 5 years I played, I ever had a team. I just showed up to the field on Saturday or Sunday, and there was always 3, 4, 5 guys to play with, or a group of guys to play with. You know, growing up, I had enough money to play at the weekends. I'd ref Saturday, play Sunday, like most kids. But to afford tournaments was kind of a different monster in itself. As an adult, is really where I've started getting the shine of my tournament experience. But when I moved out to Indiana from Texas later on in life, and I first got back into the sport, I'd go to the fields and I'd almost notice that if you did not have a team to play with, you weren't getting spins on the speedball field. I mean, open play all day, that exists, but the concept of an open play speedball just wasn't really, it's not really here. It doesn't exist anymore. And I think that's part of what declines the growth of our sport is there's very few guys that, or very few places you see where if you don't have a squad, that if you show up, do they invite you in and say, yeah, man, line up at the gate, let's go. And the whole premises of mine is supposed to be, you know, show up, and if I find you, we'll let you play with us. And even we're guilty sometimes of, well, we're prepping for a tournament this weekend, so we can't break up the lines. If you come out next week, then we'll help you. Luckily, we normally have 3 or 4 or 5 guys who aren't playing the tournament, and we can spin someone in with them. But that was kind of the big thing is when I got out here is there was no pickup paintball. So we built free parking. Me and a group of guys out of O'Hare during the winter kind of just started playing every Thursday, every Saturday, every Sunday at O'Hare. We'd meet and play. And we just then transitioned to blast camp in the summer, and we'd keep playing. And then we made jerseys and call it free parking. And the main premises was, you know, in Chicago, it costs money to park everywhere. It's expensive. You know, and that's kind of saying like you have to have a team to play, but free parking, it can be what you want. If you show up, you can play with us. Free parking definitely doesn't mean paint's free. It doesn't mean the program's free. There is cost, of course, in paintball still, but it's not about an individual. It's not about a line per se. It's just about paintball, and it's about getting to play ultimately. We have guys who are very competitive, and what they want to do is win, and they want to become pro. And we have a few guys that, you know, if they stay on the same track that they are on today, they'll see a pro team. There's no doubt about it. Being D4 guys beating semi-pro players in a D3 Expo match is proof that they'll be pro players if they just keep on doing it. They're definitely above average. But they're only above average because they have above average help. They have Ronnie Dizon. They have Chad Boucher. They take the time and they take the investment in themselves to grind at this sport. And these pros in our area have seen it. They've seen it within the free parking program. They've seen these kids. They've seen the investment that they put in themselves. And I think it drives them to want to invest into them. I think Ronnie sees the kid who's going to replace him. You know, Yaya sees the kid who's going to replace him. And I hope when Keith Brown and Chad George come out here, they see those kids and they're like, yep, we're going to come out here next year and the year after that and the year after that. I mean, I'd essentially like to build a BKI of the Midwest. I mean, I don't want to compete with the BKI, but I've also learned in paintball that you can't do anything without someone taking it as a form of competition.
Right.
So if that's what it is in the long run, if Free Parking's here to compete with BKI, I'll compete with them too. But I believe everybody can do everything, and we can all just grow the sport together.
Right. There should be enough
And
for all of us to
ultimately,
get
I've
some.
done most of this without making money. And that's what splits hairs with people. Some people, they love it. Obviously, the players, they love that I don't have a program that is designed. I'm not designed to make money. One line's not designed to be funded by another line. One line does not pay more than another line. One line does not pay less. Everybody pays the same. There's no gear packages. I have 60 players. If I approach your company and I say, I want 60 masks, and you're like, well, you have to buy mask, pants, pack, and jersey, I'm going to tell you no. I'm going to go find a different company. I think that's part of what stifles programs from growth. Why does a D4 line need a complete sponsor gear package? Sponsor meaning that you're paying me, or I think in paintball we have a very skewed idea of the word sponsorship. Sponsorship simply just means that we buy in bulk.
Bulk buy discount, dude. That's what it is.
And it's not even dealer price discount, because I've seen inside the dealer pricing, and your sponsor deals still aren't as good as the deals as some fields and some stores get. And my thought was, if my program is buying more a year from your company than some of these fields or some of these stores, don't I deserve that same price, or maybe better?
You could be a dealer.
I mean, but I don't want to sell it for profit. I just want to outfit my team at a right cost.
Right.
HK has been amazing about this with me. They've actually embraced this idea with us. They've even told me time and time again, the only thing that they want to require us to do is buy a jersey. The only thing that is required to play in the free parking program is the HK free parking jersey. And outside of that, there's nothing else. You can shoot whatever gun you want, whatever hopper, whatever mask, whatever pants, whatever pack, whatever cleats, whatever that makes you. I don't care if you come out there with axe plus cash. I mean, run it. If that's what works for you, be the axe plus cash man on the field. Because ultimately, I think for paintballers to grow the best, they need to be comfortable with what they use. I don't like how certain guns shoot. Certain people love how they shoot. I also stay on my feet. Other people dive. Players play the different. I think it's absurd to have a D4 team and expect the whole entire team to use Luxes. I think the Lux is a great gun. I'm not saying anything about it, but what it costs to outfit a D4 team with all Luxes is about the same of what it costs their entire season worth of entries and powder paint. Like, let's look at where the money really should be going here, into growing the sport. And growing the sport's not growing in goods. It's shooting paint, getting out and playing, and putting more content out on the internet and the web for people to see. Because the more people that see content, the more people that get interested, the more interest, the more they show up. And I think we got lost there. And it used to be more like that, I think, when growing up, you saw, and for me, the first outfit I played paintball in was my dad's old BDUs from the Air Force. As he got new uniforms, I would take his old ones, and that's what I'd play. And not the tops, but the pants. And then I'd just wear a T-shirt, or I'd get like a die-cord jersey or an old Reds jersey or whatever I threw on the Christmas list, and then show up. And now, coming back, I've never seen... Do they call them agnaughts? I've never seen so many people matching and then not matching by matching at the paintball field at the same time. Like, in a time in the sport, I mean, you're down to the color of the fins of your speed feed on your hopper. It's
man.
Like, what are we doing?
Too much,
Like-
man. I don't like that.
I get it, sauce, drip,
whatever they're calling it, whatever song is knocking it, because I have tons of kids that are about it, and I love it. I have a few guys who I think they spend more time buying and selling gear than they do on the paintball field, and not even for a profit, just switching. 1 week it's a CS2 with pink tank, pink accents. Next week it's a Twister CS2 and gold with a gold infamous tank, and then next
Just play paintball, kid.
Yeah, man. You're like, what do you think I could do to get better?
take all that money you spent on all that gear and invest it in pro camps.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Or invest in more paint to play. Just invest in paint to shoot at a target. I don't know, but like
These companies or these sponsor
programs, and we'll just say what it is. GI Sports, being the biggest company of them all, has sold all these teams on this idea that you have to look fly when you play, like plus 10 speed. Like this is Diablo or World of Warcraft or whatever, and its attributes, and snake stripe sandana plus 50
Those are the
pad,
words, dude.
EVS with camo plus 5 speed plus 7 vision. It's JT Pro Flex 7 that cost me $30 when I was a kid, but now sells for $300. Like, it's dry, cracked out plastic. You can't even get good foam for it anymore. Like, I don't get it. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love old stuff. I have an A1 Angel. I have Impulses, Shocker box. Old stuff that I bought for like $100 and rebuilt it for 30, and it shoots great. Nostalgia.
Right.
But when clothes and sweat rags cost more than paintball gear does, like modern paintball gear, like something that I bought as a kid for $15 cost more than a GO4 if it's the right sand. I don't get it. Like, what I miss? How'd we get here?
Dude,
I don't know.
I mean, for Sandanas, it's because the kid Mark Barola, who owns Sandana now, he's actually from Long Island. He's from
Henry.
Mark Henry or Mark Barola. So
okay.
From what I know, what happened is he bought all the Sandana. He was buying all the Sandana stuff with different accounts, and then people would ask him how much they're worth, and he was just inflating the market. So now that's why Sandanas is the whole big thing. Because my boy from Evil Gerbil, same type of thing, bull denim, whatever, $45 headband. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tiger stripe.
I wear
Sandana.
a couple Charm Cities, and he does 10-ounce denim, and it's the same thing. I think I paid $45, $55 shipped, and it's good for a new, but I mean, 150, 200 new, like I don't, for clout, not even fame. It's not even real. Like it's clout.
Yeah.
It's going to disappear in 30 minutes after that Instagram picture gets its likes. And, it's
So dumbest.
yeah.
And the JT mask nowadays. Because all of a sudden, that's the new freaking hot thing in our area.
Yep.
Like, I see these dudes getting like $100 frame, $30 box. I'm like, dude, what are you? That's $50, dude. What are you talking about? JT Pro Flex, $50. That's it.
Yeah, I'm actually I say I'm not a huge GI fan, but I do rock the new JT Pro Flex X's, and most people don't realize GI does own JT. But I love them because simply I loved JT Mask growing up, but I hated how long or how hard it was to change the lenses. Like you were breaking fingernails, it just sucked. But with the Pro Flex X's, 20 seconds, boom, boom, you're back in, ready to go, and it takes the same lenses. And that's about one of the only good things I can say as far as that soft gears part is they have at least improved that. But when did the industry go to just wanting to sell people on soft goods and soft goods they don't need? And they make fortunes on it. Like it's insane. The markup, like people understood what the margins were for the Chinese manufacturing for the stuff that they're bringing over here and selling. It's, even when they give it to you at 50% off, they're giving it to you 50% off something they marked up 200%.
Right.
They're still making a killing. Like there's no money in selling guns and tanks. Like that is the truth in the industry. Like the guns and the tanks have probably the least markup value because ultimately they have the most resources put into them, R&D, and mass too. I mean, making a mass mold is insanely expensive.
And I think that's why most companies like Bunker Kings are switching to the whole crowdfunding thing to get them to take off. Maybe shout out to my good Angel Eyes to work, just because I think the world wants to see it. But the soft goods, like are they the new autococker parts of paintball? I guess that's what I'm getting at in this 30-minute rant. Are soft goods the new ion parts and the new autococker parts of paintball? Since we don't walk into pro shops anymore and see display cases full of Shock Tech and Cap and Palmer and whatever millions of variances for the different guns back in the late 90s, early 2000s, are soft goods what the industry has started pushing on us? Because I even feel the quality is degraded. Because I remember being a kid back when like the I-Force came out, or like the Core 4, Core 3 dyed gloves and pants. You could get them, or old JT pants. You could get them, and they would literally last 2 seasons, 3 seasons. Like they weren't done in 3 months.
Right.
But now most of my guys, especially my guys who slide, my snake guys and my D1 guys, my divers, we get soft goods from various people and various companies, and 3 months tops is pretty much what I'd say the lifespan is on any of it. From pod packs to pants to jerseys. If you play aggressively or play a lot, at least, it's. And I get it. We have to have a revolving commodity, but I thought that's what paint was supposed to be.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess with you guys and where you live and your perspective, like, what do you guys think? Like, even you guys are saying the guys in the JT mask, like you said, I did notice that you were coaching your team, and I saw the posts you made on Instagram and Facebook about how it felt good getting out there and making them jerseys again. Are you guys making them get full on packages, or is it just jerseys?
So it's what we're gonna actually be doing. So it's like like Overshot, that's our brand. We did play some open 7-man events. It's Overshot Factory, so we're getting jerseys made, and I'm kind of on your same train of thought. To me, a jersey's a jersey. Like, yeah, there's different jerseys. You could get the hand glove, you could get the padding, the no padding. But like, to me, dude, I'm not expecting some 15-year-old kid. I'm not going to tell him, we all have to wear Bunker Kings for 10% off the goggles. You know what I mean? When the kid could go and buy goggles on the BST for less money. I'm not going to do that, dude. It makes no sense to me. Someone wants to give my kids 10 goggles, then all right, maybe we'll talk. But like, to me, there's no deal out there. And listen, someone out there could have a deal that it works like that, but the standard paintball deal is not good enough for me to tell some kid, I'm on your train of thought, dude, go buy more paintballs. Go to a clinic or anything like that. You know what I mean? A jersey, a jersey needs to be worn. A jersey needs to be.
There's a jersey. I think has you have sense commodity. You look alike. The team. I think teams function better when they have jerseys. It's a sense of pride. It's a uniform. It's an outfit. It's an outlet. I mean, ultimately, that's what paintball is for most of us. We're misfits, or we're delinquents, or we're people who didn't fit in a certain crowd. I mean, I don't know how many guys that we play paintball with that are Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. When people ask me, what were you? Paintballers, we're the nerds that didn't know how to skate or BMX bike. Like, we weren't quite coordinated enough for wheeled action sports, but like, we were good enough to run down the field and shoot at each other. Because isn't paintball kind of like the ultimate LARPing in a sense? Like, there's. If you really, I've gone to a couple big games lately. I went to one with Ronnie, one of my first big games out at Blast Camp. We went to Battle of Hoth, which is like, I'm not even a Star Wars guy, but I mean, there's guys with full 3D printed Stormtrooper suits, and they had the Max Loader backpacks that had like 2 cases of paint and still couldn't hit shit. So they were acting dead on with the role. I mean, guys coming out there, we're sitting out there, me and Ronnie are sitting there with our, Luxes at the time, and we're just shooting. All of a sudden, these 2 dudes come out of the woods with these like lightsabers and just, and they're challenging each other to duels, and they're just battling it out. I'm like, hello. That's a penalty. You can't touch each other on the field. I'm so used to speedball. Like, it's like, man, this is a whole other life, and it's cool, and I love it. And it's
Man, shout out to scenario players. How do you keep your mask on for that long? Like that's something
Like I was just thinking about, like, what was the best part about the day? And I'm like, coming off the field after 2 hours and being able to take your mask off. You're like, whoa.
Dude, I
Playing
played
an
a night
X-Ball.
game before. I played a game in the dark. It was wild.
Yeah, I haven't played a night game since I was a kid at paintball nights in Texas, and it was all hyperball back then, and it was basically this hyperball field that had like these old Kmart parking lot lights on the side. Like Kmart went out of business, and they like grabbed these old black spray painted like you couldn't see a thing, but it was another excuse to be at the paintball field longer. So of course we all went out there and played because it was normally Friday night, and we'd meet there as kids, play, and then go spend the night at someone's house. And then Saturday at 9 a.m. go to the other field and play during the day there. But like, was there lights at your night game? Because that's something I was curious about. Because we're in the process of building a field right now, and
one of my fields we're gonna light. We're actually gonna do like modern LED lighting because my business partner, he owns a wholesale electrical place, so like lightings and electrical and stuff is his thing. And he was saying that it could light the field up and we could see. And I'm just like, but how well can you really see at night when you're playing paintball? Because I feel like LED lights make things shine differently. Like they have different shimmer on things. Because if you ever played an indoor field, like at O'Hare, and everybody looks like they're hit on their hopper, even if they're not, just the way the light flares off of it. And I didn't feel like you could see paint that well. So
I was just curious, like,
I don't know, how well could you see paint, and was there lights?
Oh, there were no lights. It was straight in the dark. It was in the woods. It was at night of a scenario game. And the only way you could tell each other apart was they gave one team red glow sticks and the other team green glow sticks. And you had to wear it around your neck. And they just let us have at it in the woods.
How many guys had real night vision? I know a couple had.
No, man, dude.
Somebody.
No one on our team. Somebody definitely had to, but I got
a night vision story because I've played games like that, and I don't like night play at all. But like I was big into scenario games, and my boy was the general on my like a team that I used to be on, and he hit me up years later. He's like, "Yo, he's like, we need you or whatever." I'll big time LARPer. When you're like Diablo, World of Warcraft, like Dungeons and like I don't.
Yeah, I didn't play. I played Diablo 1, 2, and 3. I'm a real big StarCraft guy. Actually,
the best one.
Yeah, and actually, they just came out with Command and Conquer remastered for Red Alert, Command and Conquer, and Generals, I think. So I bought that and I started playing that the other night. No, but night vision.
Yeah, so if you are going against people that have night vision and you don't have, it is the worst. Like. I remember just walking down this trail, and these people were right next to me because they're like right next to you here. They're all around you, and they're just gonna wait because they know you're just walking down like, and it's getting dark, it's in dusk, and I just remember like I had to go to whatever it was like a silo looking thing on the field. I forget what the theme of the game was, and I'm like maybe like 5 feet from it, and then all of a sudden I'm just getting torched head to toe. From all directions, you can't see anything. I'm out. I'm like, I couldn't it's just the worst, dude. And I never have had a night vision or anything like that. But yeah, like those night games, the scenarios and everything like that, it's crazy. But like going back to kind of what you were saying though, so are you free parking opening a field? You're opening a field?
Yes. So free parking is now an LLC. I have made the moves to make the name Free Parking Paintball an LLC in itself, and we're working to trademark it. And we recently inherited about 48,000 square foot of 1-year-old reclaimed AstroTurf.
I saw that you posted that, yeah.
Yeah, there was a U13 soccer field in Elgin, Illinois. That in a U13, so. Soccer's weird. Well, it's not weird, but the measurements are like, in paintball, we have very defined measurements of what something has to be. Well, when they told me, when they told me it was a U13 soccer field, I'm like, okay, well, I can look that up. A U13 soccer field can be at minimum 100 yards long, but at most 130 yards long, at minimum 50 yards wide, or at most 100 yards wide. Like
Okay.
it can almost like double in size there.
Yeah.
But at its minimum measurements, it's 48,000 square foot, which is more than enough to build 3 competition turf fields, because your average 5-man field is about 18,000 square foot. So once we found that, it kind of was like, well, we have all this turf. We also inherited about 130 bunkers from O'Hare. When O'Hare Paintball went out of business, Jeff, the owner, is a good friend of ours, was like, hey, I just need these gone. If you guys want to come grab them, you can take them. So we showed up with a couple trailers and a couple vans and took all his bunkers and then took them up to a warehouse and had this huge bunker cleaning part. I mean, we got some good stuff. We got X's, we got W's, we got mini A's, we got bricks, we got wedges. Like we're gonna build some fun fields. I mean, because ultimately what I want to do is 2 5-man fields and 1 10-man turf field. With the 10-man turf field acting as an open play field where we just use this collection of bunkers, because I don't think open play or people wanting to get introduced really care if bunkers are mirrored, and I can put like two mini W's, 2 big W's together, an X up there, and just make crazy walls and air bunkers out of random stuff and just go have fun on it and introduce the game to people on it. And then also have 2 5-man fields to build a very competitive tournament series in the Midwest. We plan to start off the next year pretty big with I'm not gonna say who, but we're gonna team up with someone from California, and we're gonna bring a tournament series to the Midwest that I believe they direly need. And
that's sick, dude. That's awesome.
We're gonna hit with some love prices.
You don't have to say exactly, but
I mean, I'm not going to say that to it is, but I really love the Mike Hinman philosophy of thought and putting the power into the divisional players and offering very affordable paint and very affordable events to people. And like I said, I won't confirm, deny anything, but yeah, I mean, I'm going to team up to bring a good series. The minimum is I have to have 2 tournament fields, which my beautiful wife is probably upstairs as we speak, trying to finish out the 60-page like essay that we're writing out, because we're basically having to write a 60-page business plan out to turn into this like business advisor guy who goes over it and then converts it into a real business plan, and then it gets submitted for SBA certification. And if it gets approved and gets the SBA certification and backing, then we basically just go to the bank and they hand us the cash, because the SBA backing is a certificate, kind of like on my house. I have a VA loan from being in the military. Once you get that VA certificate, any bank gives you the money, because the government says if I fault on my payments, they will back it up and they will pay it. Which I won't fault on my payments, because we truly believe what we're trying to build, we need. 5 acres of land is what we're acquiring. Like I said, we'll have 2 5-man fields, a 10-man field, and eventually probably build some sort of small open play. We won't have rentals at first. Its focus is going to be tournament players. I love and respect every style of paintball. I mean, I think we need it all. We need guys who just fill up scuba tanks and go to their buddy's farm and play around the hay bales. We need guys that dress up as Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker and battle it out to the death. And we need more tournament fields. We need a lot more tournament fields. I think this year alone proves that we need more tournament fields, because I think COVID came in and showed us that if you lose the NXL, the regional events can prosper, and they can prosper greatly. But if it's not established, it's kind of hard to do. So there's been a real big lull in paintball on the event level nationally, when you've seen a lot of regional events sell out. But I think if more had been established or more ready to go, there wouldn't be as big as a gap in paintball. And, there would have been an easier way to make local D2 or D1 events, even, because that's kind of what I feel bad for too in the sport, is D2 purgatory is real. I mean, these guys, once they get D2, D1, they lose the ability to really play locally, unless it's one or two guys on a D3 roster. I mean, you're not going to fill a roster of your buddies. Kind of like Blast Camp Revolution. I'm friends with most of the guys on that team. You know, we grind together, we play together. I mean, we'll probably become one of the biggest rivalries in the Midwest in the next year or two. But ultimately, we love each other. We love the guys. We love playing with each other.
Right.
And we really feel bad for some of them because you got the whole semi-pro line that they got Vegas. And that was it. And they've been kind of filling in to playing D3 here and there at MPPL, but there's not really
there's nothing
anywhere for D2, D1 to play. But I think part of that reason is there's not a facility. You know, if you're gonna put on a D2 or D1 event and try to bring people in, you need more than one field, and you need to definitely have parking right on the field. You need to have focus. I think it's the big thing is in the Midwest, we don't have a paintball fit. We don't have an X Factor.
We don't have a field that is dedicated to just speedball. And
that's what a lot of these places like Texas and California that have these dominant programs and have these huge event series is they have dedicated fields to speedball. That's all they do. They don't have woodball. They do open play, but it's on speedball fields. And that's all I want to build. And that's what we're going to build. And I could say that, you know, all of it's out of dreams, and that's half of it, but half of it's out of necessity. When you get to being a 55, 60 person program that orders 2 to 3 skids at a time and has it stored in your house.
See behind you.
Yeah, that's a part of it. Then there's more down there. There's some upstairs in the laundry room. I think we have about 250 cases of paint in my house right now, between HK and APX. But with that said, I have 4 Expo lines going into MPPL event number 4. So 4 Expo lines can shoot 250 cases of paint really fast. And that paint is part of why we're opening our field, is because there's, again, that competitive side in this sport that when your friends want you to do well, just not as well as they're doing or better, kind of standpoint. You know, if you show up to a place and you're like, hey, I'm gonna do what you're doing, but I'm gonna try to do it better. It's kind of frowned upon. They get mad. And I'm just kind of a blunt person, and that's kind of what I've done is, you know, in the Midwest, I've kind of said to people, you know, hey, I'm going to build a speedball field, and I'm going to build the best damn speedball field in the Midwest. Don't worry, I'm not touching y'all's open play. I'm not touching scenarios. I'm not touching airsoft, big games. Like, I'm focusing on speedball. And the reason why is because I have 55, 60 guys who, you know, at times don't feel welcomed at any one field, because fields are okay with bringing your own paint when your program has 5 or 6 cases they can bring. But when you can show up with 60 cases, I feel like the owners just look at that and they see how much money they're losing. They're like, I could have sold you all that, but the fact is you couldn't have, because you would have never given this to me at the price I got it at. Right. I literally can shoot these 60 cases for what you would have given me 15 for.
Right.
You know, and that's the difference, is by me being able to buy the purchasing power, buying skids, because I have, you know, the money in my account to just say, yeah, I can buy it and let my guys pay me back later. It's made people unhappy with us. Because they feel we're messing up the balance and the order of things. So I've had field owners tell me I have no skin in the game, or I've had them tell me, how dare I get skids when I don't own a field, or how dare I get huge soft gear, you know, because I'm not required to buy soft gear, but I can order 50 packs from a company and pay the same thing the field's going to pay, because I'll call them and say, hey, I got cash money right now. I don't need terms.
Right now.
Fuck your net 30. I'll pay you up. We're in COVID. This pandemic. I mean, we've gotten as far as we've gotten, probably a lot of it because of the pandemic, because when all the fields stopped buying stuff, when I picked up the phone and I started calling and I started saying, hey, they're not building, but I am. So what can we do? And we just kept working off that. And so with all these field owners, I've never done anything against the rules. It's always been, hey, it's $20 to bring your own paint. And we're like, cool. If you do that math with my program, if that's about $25,000 a year, just an entry. If we pay $20 a person to bring our own paint. But then to do that and then to constantly be met with, well, should you have the paint? Or, well, I think maybe you're selling it to people you shouldn't when you're not, because field owners all of a sudden just see players and they're like, are you sure those players are part of your program? Yeah, they are. I mean, just because we're not wearing our jerseys every day, they're definitely my guys. And I'm not, there almost becomes this toxic buildup of delusional mistrust to where, there's a possibility that something can be going on. So it might maybe be going on. So then it must be going on. So then it there's a lot of effort into fighting this. So you kind of look back and you're like, I'm just going to remove myself. Let's walk away. And what are you left to do but open a field? It's we kind of did this backwards though. Most people I guess would say you should open a field, didn't get paint, but we built the program. And we built the program simply by me and a few guys leaving another team that we didn't agree what was going on with. And just like I said, we kept grinding and showing up to places that people didn't have someone to play with. We're like, hey, we're free parking. You can come play with us, and at least for today. And then we'd go to another field and then we started doing the clinics. And also we got to so many people and I know I'm kind of talking in circles and sorry.
No, it's good, man. It's good.
We got to where we just kind of said, aha, let's just build a field and cut the bullshit. Let's not deal, let's do what the field owners told us. The field owners said, put some skin in the game. The field owners said you should have a field to be able to have these deals. And so we're like, hey, okay, we'll do that. And then they threw a fit because they're like, you're going to build a field? Like, where are you going to build it? Where are you going to put it? How close is it to me? How far are you from me? How much of my business are you going to affect? My, I, me, mine. It's amazing how much people say they're going to grow the sport all the way up until it's not growing them.
Right.
There's this, and this is the whole sport. And I'm not directing this at any one person. Like, this is just what I've noticed. Like, I've had other field owners. Nate, the owner of Breakout, is like, you're opening a field, you're crazy. I'm like, why? He's like, you're just going to war. I'm like, going to war with who? And he's listing off people I've never even met. He's, this guy, with Rennick. He's like, Rennick's not going to like it. I'm like, I've never met Rennick. I know who he is. He owns Badlands, and he used to own Aftershock before. He still owns Aftershock, but like, they're not a pro team anymore. But like, why would I be going to war with Rennick? I don't know him. And he's, you're opening a paintball field. They're going to take that like war. I'm like, what do you mean? I thought we want to grow the sport, right? Like, more fields means more exposure, means more people playing, means more money, means just more paintball. And that's what we all want, more paintball. And
that's not what they
want. It's not what they want. And I think I had this aha moment when I was actually shamelessly going to plug a different podcast. When I was watching the PTG podcast, they had John Dresser on.
I listen to every episode they've got.
Yeah, so like you'll understand this morning when John Dresser came on, he's like, you know what the problem is today? The problem is that we have field owners that have owned their fields for 15, 20 years now. And they're still doing things like they did it 15, 20 years ago. Not like how they should be done today. We don't have very many of these 1-year-old or 2-year-old field owners. We don't have a lot of new guys coming in with new perspective to reignite that. And so I'm just like, let's go be that new guy and let's do it. And I asked my wife and she said, you're crazy, but I'll support you. So like I said, she's probably upstairs working on that because I'm not much into the paperwork. I'm definitely the passion. I'm the guy who I'll call all the businesses. I'll beat down Brandon Short at midnight, messaging him. Like, be Short, what are you doing?
you know, and try
I need
doing
my
a whole
goddamn jersey.
yeah, fine, whatever I do. Where my Pro Tour medals? Be short, you know, get stuff from him. He's actually a great guy. That's got to be one of my favorite reps to ever have to call or deal with is Brandon Short, just because, like, you know, one, it's obviously it's legendary. He's Brandon Short.
Yeah.
He's Hall of Fame snake player, Iron Man, Dynasty, you know, just knows the game. And then two, it's that surrealness, you know, I'm literally ordering gear for my program from a guy I was watching on DVDs and looking at an APG magazine as a kid. Like it's kind of cool. It's like the first time I met Matty Marshall in Seven Man, and he talked to me. I'm like, I'm talking to Matty Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is
kind of
cool. Yeah, like this is my Michael Jordan. Like Michael Jordan's cool and all, but I don't care that much about basketball. But man, you got a sense of cocker I can have. I'd really love one.
Right.
But yeah, we're tired. I got to the point where I'm tired of bullshit and drama. I'm tired of other people's rules. We seem to be in this industry that has rules that aren't really rules. They're just the way things are done, and they don't make any sense. Like, why is that the way we're doing this? Our industry has been on a so-called decline since 2008. Maybe we shouldn't keep doing this because it's not working.
Right.
And one of my biggest observation points is that field owners seem to use their practices to fund their fields and then try to run an event to make a little more money. But I feel like it's a flaw. Like, there's not a break anywhere. I mean, when you're going to these events and they're charging you as much for paint as they are to practice, you're like, when does buying in bulk come into place ever here? Like, at what point does me shooting 65 cases matter? Because $45 a case times 60 is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, when you know what paint costs, it's insane. So my thought is, why not open a field where we're selling you paint for $30, $35 a case so you can practice it out and then still buy paint in a tournament for $30, $35 a case? Because again, I don't care if you buy soft goods. I don't want those soft goods. I don't want to sell you soft goods. I want to sell you as much paint as I can to get you to play as much as you can to make you as good as you can be. So the whole premise is behind our field will basically just be $35 cases of paint, which is going to piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, dude, I wish I had that near me. I'll tell you that. Shit, dog.
I mean, so we're going to build a bunkhouse on the field. If you want to come travel and play, we'll have bunk beds, kind of like a hostel that you can rent a spot at. You know, $20 a night. Grab you a bunk bed, and you're going to sleep among other paintballers. It's probably not going to be as open to the public kind of thing, but guys that we know, or if they're teammates or whatever, above our pro shop, we're going to build a 10 to 15 man sleeping bay with bunk beds and a little common area, kind of like a paintballer's Airbnb. And part of my goal behind this would be to, before an event like NXL Chicago, to maybe be able to get Houston Heat to come to the complex, stay at the field, and practice Legion, or maybe get Legion in the ML Kings. Because again, when there's not a great facility for them to be able to practice at, for these teams that have to come here a month before they play because they come out of country, it's just tournament paintball. I mean, that's the whole field's premises. Be everything tournament paintball. And I say I'm going to build the paintball fit or the X Factor of the Midwest, but really I'm going to build the free parking of the Midwest, which would at best be described as an Olympic style paintball park for speedball.
Dude, that's so cool. That's awesome.
And we're going to be more of a membership based program. We'll be like $50 a month, get you unlimited access. And then that's what gets you the $35 cases. Just because, again, I think for players that come and play 3 times a week or even 2 times a week, $20 entry, it's insane. Like,
those numbers, when you add them up, when you add up how much you put into this sport for no hope to ever get return,
I get
you
you.
you're just like, why? The kicker is I don't need the field to make money. So I was actually medically retired from the Army, where I receive a very generous retirement check every month. It pays my bills. My family has health insurance every month. So I'm 32 years old, and I'm in a fortunate spot where we can do this, and literally every penny of the field makes, we just reinvest into the field. It doesn't need to pay my bills. And this is the same philosophy of why fields like X Factor are the way they are, or a lot of these fields in Texas is these guys who own these great fields that we see, or these great complexes, that's not their sole income. Paintball is their hobby, or it's their passion. Alex Martinez made his money he owns a large construction company. Paintball was just something he built for those kids. Well, they're not kids anymore, but it was his son and Billy and all those guys, and he just kept building it for them. And I hope to be able to basically provide the same thing for my kids. It's being from San Antonio, I watched what Alex Martinez did, and I watched what he gave those guys, BKIT or X Factor. Just the outlet, the drive, the life choices, the guidance. It was so much more than paintball, and that's why you'll see us on Facebook. We'll say free parking. It's a movement. And I think some people are like, well, movement of what? You're just a bunch of idiot kids playing Division 4 paintball, maybe Division 3 now, but like, you're not moving anything. You're probably living in your mama's basement still. But actually, most of our players are some of the smartest businessmen in the Midwest, or they're pretty well motivated kids. We got one guy, he's 26. He owns his own house. He's a professional golf instructor. Like, that's just what he does for a living. Another guy, he owns a franchise of All Phase Electrical Wholesale. We have another guy who's a software engineer. We have so many guys in tech. It's amazing. So we're almost funding. I'm not sure where I was going with that. The whole movement thing it's the movement of guys. It's the basis of anyone can play, make it affordable, and just compete. It's bridging the gap. I'm providing D5, D4, D3 players D1 and pro prices. I've made my guys have the same ability. I'm free parking paintball. I don't have a field, but my players have the same deals that semi-pro blast camp players have, if not better, in some situations. Now, we don't have a field in our backyard yet to use every day like they can, but without my own field, I've already built it to that. My guys pay less for paint than any other team around for practice, just by us buying in bulk. What they pay for soft goods from companies like HK and Virtue and other people is amazing. It's almost a dealer price because we've negotiated that. Hey, we're not going to buy it and sell the gear. We're going to use it. Right. And you're not going to make me use it either. I'm like, if 30 of my 60 guys want to buy your item, cool, but I'm not going to make all 60 buy it. And it's amazing how much we were able to strike that up with these companies by just bringing that conversation out during COVID. That's the movement part. It's breaking the gear packages. It's breaking the overinflation into the sport. It's breaking the funding someone else to play. The sport's expensive enough to play for yourself than it is to have to pay for someone else to play. Because some of these huge programs, in order to get their paint prices, it's insane. They have minimums. Like, there is a Midwestern program that plays out of a field in Wisconsin that I think they have to guarantee like either 40 cases of paint a week or like 30 players a week to maintain their paint price. Like, the pressure that's put onto that program to maintain that. Yeah, I don't understand how you can make that be something that's sustainable without it stressing you to never make it on. And because of deals like that, I think that's why programs stutter to ever make it past D3 or D2 or really see flourish beyond that. Is because they don't figure out, well, wait a second, this deal is great for the field, but what's it doing for me? It's asking that question. I know what my value is as Free Parking Paintball. I know my value is a program that's $30,000 a year in entry. I know that we're 2 skids of paint a month. I know that we're ungodly number of lenses, pod swabs, squeegees, and caddies. And I just ordered 420 GXG pods from Paul out at Matrix Paintball. Shout out Paul, because there's a huge shortage of pods in America right now because of coronavirus. Like manufacturing, people don't realize this. Like dealers, fields can't even order GXG pods right now. Like fields can't get them in. They don't exist. Like the plastic's not there.
Hysterical.
But for some reason, Paul from Matrix was like, I'm going to fill up these trailers with like 30,000 GXG pods. So if you need pods, hit that man up. He's got them. Most people don't. But again, by not having any sole commitment to gear packages, I get to make relationships like the one with Paul, because I don't owe GI Sports shit. I don't owe. Only thing I owe HK is a jersey, and they're okay with that deal. We buy a lot of jerseys. We buy a lot of jerseys, and then the pro camp we're doing, and I gave them the thing to where they're making all the jerseys for that pro camp and on. So it's a great relationship, but it's beneficial for both parties, my team and me. It's not just beneficial for them, and that's how this sport should be working. But it's not on so many levels, and that's the movement thing. If any team owner were to contact me right now and ask me, how did you do it in private, I'd tell you how to do it. I would paint you a map of how to get your cases under $30 a case, how to get you a deal to where you can get 30%, 40%, 50% off all your soft goods without having to guarantee a full package. Just pick the items you want, because why shouldn't you get that? If you as a team are going to advertise for this company on social media and on podiums, and you as a team are going to give them your money on a loyal basis, what are they doing for you besides giving you shit that you want to buy?
Right. That you're going to buy anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said before, I can wait 2 weeks, 2 months and find it on the buy sell trade page for 60% off because it's worse than a used car. The depreciation value once you fire that butt, it don't even got to be fired. Heck, if you're just not a dealer and you have a gun, it's no longer new. It doesn't matter if it's ever seen error paint. Like if Ryne Broshears is selling a Lux, I can't advertise it as new and get $1,500 for it. I'm lucky to get $900 if I want to move it in a week or two.
Right.
It's insane. So the thought that players should buy 7, 8, 10, 15, $1,500 guns for gun packages every year, not even once, just every year you got to buy. That's insane. That gun lasts more than a year. How long were we on the LV 1.5 or just the LV1 in general? Like how long was the CS1 before the 2? Like, I mean, GO4 is like, shout out that. That's an amazing gun. I've got so many rounds through it. But like, even that threes, I got guys shooting Lux 1.0s with Encore bolts right now, and they love it. They're like, hey, I can shoot this. Another guy shooting a Squish. Another guy, I'll go out there with a Excalibur with a sci-fi board if I can. It's just, that's another amazing freedom. I can shoot whatever I want. We can all shoot whatever we want. I mean, who cares? I mean, all these teams have somehow been convinced that they need to ride the clout cloud, that they need to be all Lux or all PE or all GI or all, why? What are they doing for you? Honestly.
Right.
I mean, are you doing for them or are they doing for you? Because sponsorship to me means you're doing something for me. You're sponsoring me. I'm benefiting here. And when I talk to a lot of these teams, or even talk to field owners, or talk to program runners, or talk to these guys, and I hear their deals, or hear what they're doing, or why'd you say yes to that?
Yeah. Why'd you
Why'd
agree
you
to
say
that?
yes? It sounds like you're bigger into big games. I don't know. Is that the same problem in scenario or big game paintball, like sponsorship, like groups getting together and just getting unnecessary sponsorships for things that it's like, why?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
across the board, man. It's across the board. You know what I mean? The mechanical scene, the big game scene, the speedball scene. I think the more so like in the speedball scene is because you see the GI all in, or the silver, the bronze, the gold, or whatever. But they bring things like that into the woods ball stuff. Like GI's got the brigade, or whatever it's called. Valken's got the Valken Corps, and it's the same thing with like. I would have friends, and we don't need to name names or anything like that, but I would have friends, and they would get a deal, of, this field is giving you X amount of cases, or even the team captain was like, like whatever, it could be Valken. Valken's giving them 20, 30 cases, or whatever it is, and my boy would be like, yo, we got to go ref this event for free so we could get the 20 cases at World Cup. And I'm like, well, dude, how much is it costing you to go to that field in New Jersey, 2 hours away? What's a day of pay worth to you? So realistically, and how much is the paint going to cost you? So let's say you're getting your paint, you could get it cheaper, but let's say you're getting your World Cup paint at $30 a case times the 20 cases. You're talking about $600. You sent 8 people there to go ref. So what is your day? $80? That doesn't make any sense.
No, and then did you have to get hotels, gas, food?
That makes no sense.
No. The whole industry's ass backwards, and honestly, it needs to be burnt down.
Yeah.
It needs to be burnt down and rebuilt. It's broken. It's completely broken. It's 100% designed to profit the businessmen and screw the players. And anybody who says it's not is just trying to continue to line their pockets.
No, you're 100% right.
It just open play. I don't play much open play
Because how do you afford it? When I look at some of these fields with like $100 a case in entry, like,
or separate charges for air and entry. Like, to me, the air charge is the stupidest charge. Like the most.
I understood that during the days of CO2.
Right, because you got to keep buying tanks or whatever. But once you buy make the initial investment in a compressor and the whatever, like, you're good, dude. Like $15 for air a pop or whatever it is.
A good maintenance fee. A fee to help maintenance that compressor, to man the power to that compressor. But like $100 a case of paint, that's in most situations a 500% markup.
Yeah,
500%.
I know places where they charge that much.
Yeah, we all do as players. It's insane. Yeah. And for fields that they don't even reinvest the money back into. The upkeep is subpar. They're like, hey, look what I have. It's amazing. It was 10 years ago.
Going back to what you were kind of saying about like what Dresser was saying and all that, is like the fields that are going to be most mad at what you're doing are the fields that. And there's a field by us, like, 2 hours away, upstate New York, dude. The place, I don't think, has put $1 into their field in 15 years. It looks the same as 15 years ago.
Same shit.
Dilapidated. And, I actually went up because, similar type of deal. Like, I went up to look up at land near there because I had a guy, he was like, looking into making a paintball field, and longtime friend, like way back in the day, hit me up random. He's like, yo, I'm going upstate to look at land, do a paintball field. And it was right around the same area. And the realtor was like, oh, I've been once. I dropped my kid off at this field, and I was actually afraid to leave him there because of how dilapidated it looked. She thought some homeless man was going to come out and shank her. So it's like, dude, like, there's paintball fields that are dudes that are like, I feel like they're rednecks, and they want to get a case of, Pabst Blue Ribbon at the end of the weekend for all their work. And it's like, what are you playing? trash cans, garbage, barrels. It looks like a junkyard, dude. Like, I got no sympathy, like, listen, I want people to lose jobs or whatever, but like, I don't got no sympathy for the field owner that has a dump in their backyard with 6 or 7, with 10 rental guns that they're not getting the business.
The same rental guns that we were renting out when I started playing in 1997. Let's actually address that. Let's address that. The same Tippmans. Look, I don't care if something's a workhorse or not, but
should be Emacs, bro. Everybody,
100%, 100%.
Emac with a Ninja compressed air tank. I'm not even a Ninja.
Emac, you can do Emac, or if you wanted to do the GOG Enemy, because it has the quick, like, you can change it out from 50 cal to 68 cal just by changing the engine. I mean, either one. Like, definitely, I mean, if I had to pick between the two, give me an Emac, just because throw a new barrel on that thing and you're good.
Funny.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I love my CVO. I love Smart Part stuff. They don't pay me. They don't sponsor me, but I buy their stuff. And I love it. But yeah, Planet Eclipse changed the game with that Emac. That's for sure. And the upgrades for it are so simple. You have the hair trigger valve from Deadly Winds. You can get a Fang trigger from like Inception, and then a Freak or a UL kit, or whatever barrel kit makes you happy. Then at that point you're splitting hairs, and you've got the mechanical, the non-short stroking autococker, or the modern auto mag, or whatever mechanical gun. Like even John Dresser was talking about that. When I picked this $200 gun up, I was like, what kind of POS is this gun? And then I shot it, I was like,
I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. People are excited for that CS2 mechanical frame that they kind of like hinted and announced and showed from Extravagant, but do you really need it? You can buy the Emac for the same price that frame's going to cost. Why?
Right.
And then save yourself the time from changing out the frame and pulling the noise. Because, like, I have an Adrenaline Shocker CVO and the XLS, and you can change it out in about 15 minutes. But I'll be honest, once it's in one set, once it's in one configuration, I don't want to change it.
You don't want to change it.
Yeah, and like, it has to be a big game or something, to make me want to change it. But yeah, this technology or mask, why like
that's
why are we still using these horrible single panel plain masks that have lenses that you never change out? Like, is there any reason why a field isn't, let's just say, KLRs? Like, why isn't your field all KLRs and having their lenses changed out once every 3 months? Once a quarter, once every 3 months. Like, honestly, if you're charging me $100 for a case of paint and entry, like now we can get into the justifications of what can make a field charge $100. If you have a Call of Duty map and you rent me an Emac with a case of paint, and I get a KLR and a pod pack, and I'm getting a carbon fiber tank, and that lens is getting changed out every 3 months, by all means, charge $100. But the paint is cheaper than what it was in 1997, and we're still charging in some cases the same that we were in 1997. And it's not even the same grade of paint. It's not even at all the same cal. Like, this ain't RPS.
Way worse. The paint sucks.
This ain't Ultra Evil. This isn't RPS. Like, I will say this: the HK paint, ever since they've switched the Ricochet factory, it's amazing. And sure, like I said, I have to wear HK jerseys, but I pay for their paint. Like, they don't give it to me for free, and I pay a good amount of money for it. But there's times where I've left cases in my garage for like 3 weeks straight, between different temperatures and weather and fluctuation, come back, and it shoots fine. The tournament grade, like, it shoots great. Like, I don't know what they did, but whatever they're doing, I haven't had a bad skid yet.
Nice.
GI, man, let's just roll some dice. It's whatever. Like, there's times where you'll get GI paint and it shoots awesome. There's some GI paint that shoots lasers. This last weekend, we went to an event and they had Draxus Gold, and it shot horrible. It was straight for about the first 10 feet, and then it just started going whichever way it wanted after that. It would break. It never broke in my barrel. It never broke in my breech, and it would break the second it hit something. But I would have to shoot a hopper to hit one thing. Like, it was insane. Yeah. I don't get it. Like, what's the value in these fields in the sport? Like, what is it they're giving us for our money? And as players, what are we getting for our money? Like, are we just okay spending the money because they say we need to? Like, it doesn't seem like anyone's asking these questions, or there's very many players that, you see them bitch on Facebook. You see it all the time in buy-sell trade groups. You see them GI this or HK that or Valken this or ProShar that. Like, we could shit on every company all day long, or we could lift every company all day long. I mean, every single one of them have their upsides. They all have their downsides, but the bigger they are, the worse they are. Because the bigger the company is, I think the more they care about the profits.
About the bottom line.
It's fair enough to say, obviously, we're in business to make money, but we're also a small sport, and you have to reinvest in the sport to grow it. And I don't think the sport has seen substantial reinvestment. I think it's seen band-aids. And when I say substantial reinvestments, I don't mean, a field owner buying new bunkers. If the NXL switches to SUP Air and builds a new 2020 bunker set, you buying a new bunker set is not an investment into your field. That is an essential operating item. There's a difference.
Yeah, dude.
Like, you did not buy that bunker set because you're doing us a favor. You bought that bunker set because you need to be competitive. And honestly, the last year's bunker set probably doesn't hold air for shit, and it's a good idea just to have a new one. Like,
those things are made like shit too. I mean,
they are. They're made like shit.
The air holes are no good.
Fields are also very bad about training staff to care for them. That's another thing I've noticed from being a kid is that in speedball, paintball, reps don't exist as much in open play, especially at weekends. Like, it's almost like most field owners just put their tournament field in the back corner, and they're like, let's hide those guys over there, forget about them. Not send them any ref. Like, manage yourselves, call your own games, blow up the bunkers yourself. And it's insane.
And I don't
again,
that shit after I blew it up all day. And
why did I pay you a $20 entry or air fee if I'm filling up my bunkers? If I'm calling my games, what am I paying you for? Like, the land? just like, is that what it is? If that's what it is, that's what it is. But I mean, we're paying more, we're paying the same amount, but we're getting less than we used to. We're getting way less. And I feel bad because a lot of new players don't understand that. Like, I think any guy who's been playing since 2012 or 2013 doesn't see this. They ever since it went from 12.5 to 10.5, like, maybe we can correlate it around there. Like, I don't think they see that they are getting less for their money. And I don't think they see that on the backside of the industry, it's never been cheaper. Because manufacturing's at an all new height, with the way to make things and produce things, the way China's basically skipped the whole entire research part of their industrial revolution and just stole everything every other country's done. They've literally made manufacturing pennies on the dollar. And if you don't think all your paintball goods are coming from China, there's a reason why you can't get it during COVID or during the tax tariffs, or anytime there's anything to do with China, we can't get paintball gear. It just is what it is. And it's fine that it's made over there. But I mean, if you're going to sell something that's supposed to be disposable, let's put a disposable price on it.
Right.
Let's stop selling people $120 mask that I have to replace the foam in 3 weeks because when I just slightly pulled it up too hard, it ripped at the corner. Or let's sell lenses that aren't put with cheap coatings to where if I leave them in my gear bag in my garage for a hot day, they start forming bubbles in between the films.
Yeah.
And you're charging me $55, $60 for this lens. This isn't,
dude, when did lenses become so expensive, dude?
I don't know, because they weren't when we were younger. That's the other thing. Like, back in the day,
$15, $20, $25. A lens was the same price as like buying an autococker RAM or a drop board. Like, it wasn't very expensive. It was a headband, Even pod packs, though, $100 pod packs. Mask. Look at
how much is a
push mask? I'm not saying the push mask isn't a nice mask, but it's a $200 mask,
bro. That's a paintball gun.
Yeah.
That's an axe plus cash, baby, all day. You know, that's insane. And maybe it's because I'm spending my money and not my parents' money is why I notice this more, or maybe it's from a different business perspective. It's insanity. We're the reason why we can't grow our sport. Are the same people that are
Yell and grow the sport are the people that are suffocating the sport for greed. It's the circle we're trapped in. And I think you have a few guys in the industry that are trying to change that. I think you have your Mike Hinmans and your Chris Rangels and your other companies that,
even the guys over at Powerhouse, that are just dealing with the machine. And what I mean by the machine is anytime you put out a product that imposes on the big boys, they slap you with either some sort of lawsuit, litigation, cease and assist. Like, why can't we just make paintball? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, how's my product affect you? And why don't you just try to beat me?
It's not how it works now in paintball, man. They just try to suffocate the little pie that we like. You know what I mean? The little piece of the pie. They like to strangle every little piece of juice out of the orange, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing with fields. Like the same, like, hey, listen, dude, you're afraid of my field. Like, you want it to be a war. Like, instead of trying to do crazy stuff, because like I've seen that in the past where all of a sudden the bunkers are slashed, or there's a robber, or this, that, or the other thing, and it's like, yo, why don't you just beat me straight up because you provide a better product instead of
or
stuff? But that's not a thing, dude. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Or when field owners approach you about what you're paying and you think you're just having a friendly conversation and you decide to tell them what you're paying. So then they call the vendors back and decide to use your name to throw you under the bus and be like, well, why can't you negotiate a price without using my name?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, why can't you do it on your own? Like, why do I need to be in your discussion to get whatever you want? Because the second you mention my name in your negotiation, then you're bringing me into it. You're no longer playing on a level playing field. You're no longer working on your merit. Like, you somehow have to, I don't know if it would be, if it's, negotiate or leverage your way in by saying, well, this is what this guy's paying. Like, why is that fair? Like,
Provide your own
fair. Fair's not the word. Yeah. Like, you're saying this isn't a war, or you say that we're not in competition, or you say you don't mind what I'm doing, but then why is it that my name is in your mouth when you're talking to people? Right. Or why are you talking about what I'm doing and complaining about it because it bothers or it threatens your way? And what's amazing is, like I said, I'm only focused on speedball. I'm not focused on big games. I'm not focused on scenario play. I'm not focused on open play, which is honestly where the bulk of the cow is at. The money's not in tournament play, and that's why I want to be there, because I don't care about the money. I care about guys getting to come shoot 3 cases of paint for what it costs them to shoot 1 case of paint somewhere else, so they get that much more of an experience and that much more practice in. Because the big secret in the industry, the big is it doesn't cost me any more money to store 1 skid of paint than what it does to store 3 skids of paint. The real estate for what it takes to stack paint high and wide doesn't cost anything more. So I should be able to sell 2 cases of paint for the same profit that some of these fields are selling 1 case of paint for, and it's not going to change a damn thing. I'll make the same amount of money. And the reason why is because as a paintball player, if you can afford 2 cases for the same price you used to be able to afford 1 for, what are you going to be doing now? Shooting 2 cases of paint.
Yeah.
Because the more you can shoot, the more fun you have. The more fun you have, the better the experience you have. The better the experience, the more we grow the sport. Right. I mean, it's all dominoes. It all entertains. And that's going to be the whole thing. I'm going to call the park Free Parking Paintball Park. I'm going to consider ourselves, a pro standard park. We're there to grind and get better at paintball, but such has that same price. I want to offer the prices to the straggler tournament player who doesn't have Wisconsin Infamous backing him, who doesn't have Blast Camp Revolution backing him, who isn't on the feeder team for Trade My Gun Outlaws, who isn't on these huge teams that do great things. I mean, they're awesome programs and they grow the sport and they have great players, but their focus is a little bit different. And a lot of these programs are focused at one thing, and that's either feeding their pro team or getting to be a pro team. And somebody's dollar is paying somebody's way. That's just the way it is. And any team who says that any one of them who come out and say I'm lying, I'm not. It's the truth. If you sell a gear package, then that gear package is being sold to fund another line. That's flat and simple of what it is. Or that gear package is being sold to help fund that field. Plain and simple what it is. And the field owners will say, well, you're a field team, of course you should support this field, you should have this grow. Absolutely we'll grow the field. We'll wear the name on our jersey, we'll come here every week and pay entry to bring their own paint, or we'll buy your paint if the paint's reasonable, and we'll bring more teams here to practice, because the more we grind, the more they want to grind. The value is not just in the dollar that you spend, the value is in the services that you can provide or the benefits that you offer. And I think a lot of players fail to see that. A lot of players fail to see, well, when you have 10 or 15 guys that grind regularly, you now have a value. Your value is pretty good, actually. And the reason why is because if you're a 15-person program and say 2/3, 10 players of your program show up every week, that's 2 lines at a field. That's 2 speedball lines to play against. That's a point all day. Those are points. From the start, your program now provides 2 teams. So if one other team straggles in, that's 3 teams. We get on Facebook, where's everybody at? Oh man, there's 3 teams at Free Parking Paintball this week. So we'll go there too. We'll be 4 teams. Oh, there's 4 teams now? Let's make it 6. And it just grows. And that's what it does. Because as speedballers, as paintballers, as tournament players, we have to go where the people are. And then there's balance.
You got to go to a different field, man.
Yeah. And these field owners think, well, they don't realize how far we're willing to travel. Field owners don't realize that players will travel 2-3 hours to play for 2 hours, then to drive 2-3 hours back home.
Do it all the time.
Every day. I do it 2-3 times a week right now. I drive 2 hours to break out, to go drill for 2 hours, to drive back for 2 hours. I was talking to you today saying I originally wouldn't be able to do this, but then this huge storm came in, and I'm like, well, I'm not driving 2 hours to go drill for 2 hours in a storm, so I'll be doing this. But the field owners, they almost get complacent, so once these teams show up and they start bringing in these 3 teams, these 4 teams, these 5 teams, these teams are showing, they're like, hey, I've got this business. This is the business I've got, and they're here and they're mine, and it almost becomes an ownership thing about it. Like they're like, these are the teams I own. Like, I don't know, they're playing because this is where they play right now, and then they're like, no, like these are my customers. And the second you start going somewhere else, they're like, whoa, why are you going there? Well, there's another team there. They're providing a better service. Like, oh, so you think you need to compete with them. Like, you're going to compete for my business, and I've heard some fields, the thing that they've said is, well, we can't be the cheapest field in the area. Why not?
Yeah.
Why can't you be the cheapest field in the area? What's wrong with that? As long as you're covering your bottom line and making a profit, I mean, why do you need to be priced competitively? Like, why is it that 3 fields can get together and say, hey guys, let's all make the price $100 a case of paint. And so that's all these guys will have a choice, and they're going to have to pay it, and we'll make that money. Why? That's what these fields are doing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely what they're doing right now in this sport. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why don't we get together and say, hey guys, let's sell all these guys $40 cases, $35 cases. And then let's build a tournament series where the first event's at my field, then the second event's at your field, and then the third event's at your field. And then we do a pool and the series championships at the players' voted field, like who they vote. Like, Why don't we work together in that sense to make money, not work together? Because there's a difference between having competitive pricing and extorting pricing,
Exactly,
or building a monopoly, and that's what these field owners have almost started to unionize and build this pricing monopoly against the players and saying, well, okay, you don't like my prices, field paint only. Okay, well, once you go field paint only and that's all we're around and we want to play the sport, then yeah, you got us. That's what we're going to do. We're going to play, but we're not going to play as much. And then eventually you're going to birth a guy like me.
Yeah.
Who's going to say, this is some bullshit. You guys are taking advantage of the players, the system. You're making them think that you're Robin Hood, that you're taking all this money and just giving it back, and you're not.
You're making hand over fist, and it's disgusting.
Right.
Profit's awesome. I think everybody needs to make profit. Obviously, no one stays in business if they make a loss. But if you're in a business where you have a 500% markup on an item, then I think that's fair to say you're price gouging.
Yeah.
I think there's,
obviously paintball's not big enough to be regulated. No one's going to step in and say, well, you can't. It's not like fuel or gas where, this gas station can't charge you $2.50 while this one's charging you $7.50 because it's the only gas station for 40 miles. But that's essentially what these fields are doing. They're the only paintball field for 40 miles. They're the only paintball field for 50 miles. So they call all the fields within the next 50 miles and the next 50 miles, and they build this network, and they're like, hey guys, let's all work together. $100 cases. They'll buy it and they'll thank us for it. And
that's why people play once a year, dude. You know what I mean?
That's why our sport's dying. That's why we're not growing. That's why. Yeah. Because you can't get a return acquisition rate with the players. When I want to introduce a sport to somebody, you got to make it as cheap as possible to get them in. You cannot make the sport cost so much money that they actually have to sacrifice something they enjoy to try something new. If it's give up a night at the bar or give up a concert. What I go play a tournament for, I could take my family on a vacation sometimes. If it's X-Ball or it's an XL, I played the whole entire season last year, and my wife took a 2-week trip to India. That whole entire trip cost like a third of what my paintball season cost. That was flight there and back, staying. That was food, travel, everything. It's insane. So when, as an individual, if I'm spending that much money and doing the math, and if there's 20,000 other guys like me, why are the prices what they are? So yeah, that's the movement. Let's break that. Let's crush that monopoly. And the ironic part is it's the monopoly man that's the logo to Buffalo.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, dude. Free parking, monopoly.
I'm a troll. I really am.
If you look at my Facebook right now, so Jackson, the semi-pro,
Jackson plays the son of Blast Camp. He runs that field, and he has tons of pride in his field. Like, he's actually a field owner's son who regrids the layout. He moves the bunkers around. He does all that. So as our program started getting bigger, and as we started getting kind of a rivalry, he started to call us handicap parking. And we were like, okay, that's funny. So if you go to my Facebook page right now, you'll see I just made handicap parking practice jerseys, where we actually made a whole logo
and added a little orange speck to kind of symbolize us driving through Blast Camp in the last event since we beat them for first place, which was a sweet victory. And of course,
you have people piping up saying things on Ronnie Dizon's videos like, I remember my first place victory. And I'm like, absolutely. But you'll definitely remember the first time you lost to free parking also. So it goes both ways. So like I said, we're probably building a pretty heated rivalry, because my field will be within 45 minutes of Blast Camp. So I'm going to be in that window. And if I had to say my area program that I'm going to compete with, I want to be better than Blast Camp. I want to have a pro team. Yeah, I want to have a pro team before they do. They have semi-pro right now. I want to get to pro before they do. And why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I want that? Why shouldn't I? That's the competition. That's the drive. I mean, I want them to succeed too. But personally, my goals are to outdo them, to go faster, to go harder, to be stronger, to be better. Like, I want to do this my way. And I'm not saying anybody's doing it their way is wrong, but like, man, the competitiveness it's further than the field in this sport. This sport's a culture. This sport's ingrained into our blood. It's in our lives. It's the way we play. It's the way we live. I mean, when people are playing paintball to the level that guys like us are, our own friends we have are paintball players or paintball players' wives. Like, it revolves in our life. I mean, my daughter is 2 years old and she can say paintball better than she can most words. I mean, she spends more time at a paintball field than she does most places because I can take this little tablet that has like service on it and she watches Coco Melon or whatever on her tablet while I practice and she's happy as can be. She's cool with it. And it's, and I hope that the rivalry stays fun. I hope that the competitiveness with us never becomes bitter. It's definitely a chance
to push each other to be great,
and that's what it is. It's in the Midwest. You used to have Badlands and CPX, and then CPX closed down, and Aftershock kind of fell apart to the wayside, and that rivalry went away. But what made Chicago the Midwest epicenter, what made it a mecca in paintball, was that CPX and that Badlands rivalry. So I hope to spark a free parking blast camp rivalry to that extent. Like, why not? I mean, publicity's publicity, beefing's beefing. I mean, I hope in a deep level we're friends, and I hope we show up to each other's fields and we play each other, and it's fun. I mean, yeah, there's gonna be shit talking. It's paintball. If you're not talking shit on the field, what are you doing?
Right?
Who are you? I mean, look, this is the Midwest. We got plenty of shit. I mean, look, this is where David Barg is from. He's probably one of the biggest shit talkers in paintball. So it's just kind of part of the culture again. It's shit talking. It's not me saying I'm coming into the Midwest to put anybody out of business. That's not what I'm trying to do at all. I'm just trying to do it my way. I'm trying to do it what I think is a better way. But I wouldn't try to do it what I would think would be a worse way. So if someone takes offense to me saying I'm going to do it a better way, they shouldn't. It's, if you're ever going to do something in life, why wouldn't you try to do it a better way? And I mean, I've gone from 7, 8 guys to 50, 60 guys in about a year's time. So I think the way we're doing things is pretty good. The proof is in that alone.
Yeah,
I've got some of the largest pros in the industry that work with us on weekly basis, monthly basis, that I have conversations with as long as I do this podcast that we're on right now. Just talking about paintball and what I'm wanting to do. And, like what Ronnie tells me all the time, he's like, what, one of the things I like about you, but also hate about you is that you have an idea and you just go fucking do it. You just go. And sometimes I'm like, Ryan, come back. Just wait, and you're already halfway there. Like, you're just going. You ran through it like a bull. You're doing it. Because a year ago, I told Ronnie, I'm like, hey, let's go in and do this camp. Let's do this clinic. But next year, I want to do a paintball summer camp, man. Like, I want to take 4 days and like put on like this pro camp, thing that I don't think I've seen anybody ever do. That I would have loved to have done as a kid. And he's like, okay, sure. And here we are. We're doing it. It's sold out. Yeah. I mean, we're 4 spots away from being sold out. But when I say we're sold out, we hit our first minimum number in less than 2 weeks. Like, done, sold, and expanded.
That's
awesome. And I think there couldn't be a better time to do it either, because we're doing it in September around here, which is normally when NXL Chicago would be. So we gave people a good reason to keep those vacation days and to use that money to help grow their field, which again, in this pro camp, the entry is $550 a person, and that's 4 days, right? Now, with that $550, you get 3 cases of paint, you get entry to the field every day, you get an event jersey, all the water's provided to the event, there's 2 packets of transfuse given to you every day at the event. On top of that, we're going to give out a award that we're dubbing the Golden Dawn. So I had purchased a brand new CVO and I sent it to Ryan Hall to have polished gold anode, and then in dust gold on the body, we did the Golden Dawn, and then on the other side, Free Parking Midwest Pro Camp 2020. And Ryan Brand and Ronnie Dizon are actually going to figure out exactly the merit system to earn that award. But we're going to give away a good paintball gun again.
Like a player's going to get a gun they want, and then
That's pretty sick.
another player's going to get a brand new HK roller gear bag. Right now, I'm toying with ideas of a few things. So the Saturday, so it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The Saturday, we're doing an expo scrimmage with 7 teams, and I want to give the first place line something. Do you think they would like brand new KLR mask, Powerhouse rigs, packs? Like, if you were to win an expo tournament right now, to both of y'all, like, and you could be given a piece of gear, what would that piece of gear be, like, that you would want, like, that you would find useful? I want to give players something that they're not going to, like, I don't care if you win it and sell it to make money, that's cool, but I also want to give you something that you actually want, like,
Right.
A piece of gear that you're like, sweet, I don't have to buy this now. Like, I'm going to give you a medal too, but that's cool. But, like, I actually want to give you some gear that you want. Because I just remember being a kid and winning Tippmann A5s that were kind of cool back in the day, or, Angels, or E-Tech 3s, WGP right feed cockers. Like, there was always some sort of event where, like, the prizes were cool. Like, what happened to cool prizes? I mean, Dynasty won Hummers, they won Mustangs, $30,000. Like,
yeah,
where'd the cool prizes go?
You know what I mean, dude? Dude, I mean, we the event that we were just at, you were gonna win like 5 girls, and I'm like, dude, I don't want a girl mask, but I mean, like, masks. Everybody has a mask they like, so I feel like masks are like one of the worst ones to do.
Barrels are hard to do. Like, I can't give everybody
a tank,
a tank or a reg.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The tank or the reg, because that's not something that, like, a lot of people go out of their way to get normally.
And that's why I was kind of thinking doing, like, some custom Powerhouse rigs, like, let's say, like, first place pro camp or something. Just because I think Powerhouse rigs are kind of cool. Because I mean, for myself, I own about 4 tanks, and I have Pro V2 Ninja rigs. I have HK Powerhouse rigs, Powerhouse rigs, HK Ninja rig. Like, I have a rig, every kind of rig, and you can honestly see a difference over the chrono with, like, some of the newer Haymaker 3s and stuff.
Yeah.
When I would get a nice, like, 12, 13 ball per second variant, sometimes chronoing, switch that tank to, like, the Haymaker 3 rig, put it on there, and you'd see a 6, 7 point, like, variant, which is a little bit nicer, so I knew if I was at 290, I'm fine. I'm not going to go over 300, versus with some other rig, I might have to be at 285 to make sure I'm not going to go over 300, because that one ball might spike.
Right.
And I wanted to do barrels, but I was like, what happens if they have a lux,
or if they have AC threaded? Like, what happens if the barrel it gets not the thread for the gun they shoot? And then I'm sitting there like, man, so I kind of think I understand why they do masks, because I think ultimately when it comes back, even if you don't like grills are probably pretty easy masks to sell.
Right.
Gear bags would have been my other thought. Maybe give everybody a gear bag that takes first place.
That's not bad, because gear bags don't last a while. Like, a gear bag is typically good for like a season anyway, and then it takes a dump.
Yeah, unless it's a Planet Eclipse roller gear bag, I will say those things are made like tins. I mean, they cost what they cost. Like, I'm not sponsored by Planet Eclipse at all, but, like, I've bought a lot of gear bags. Theirs seem to hold up the best of the abuse. Just, I have no problem paying for a product that's going to last, but, like, I'm not going to buy a product just because you say I need to if it's not going to last. Right. You don't see the purpose in it. Like, I'm not going to waste my money. I mean, I already do on paintball. I love it. But, like, it's expensive.
Yeah, I already waste enough money.
So regs, maybe it sounds like, would be the way to go.
I think they're regs, because it'd be like, cool. Yeah, you're right. You get it engraved. It'll be like a nice memento from that event. And like, so many people like. No, go.
I like it in the NXL, the Golden Barrel Award. That's kind of cool. It's just like that flashy thing to have. That's kind of why we're doing the Golden Dawn with the CVO. Because, if you're in the Midwest, or if you show up with that gun and someone sees it, hopefully
between the D's on docks and everything else, like they'll know what that is, and they'll know, hey,
that's the guy who did pretty well there.
Right. But I also agree with you saying before, like how shitty would it be say like, yeah, you're giving away the carbon barrels or whatever, but then the dude has a Lux and he can't use that barrel because it's not the right threading. And
Yeah, and that's when I thought about, well, maybe we'll just do like some gold anode ACP tips. Then it's like, well, man, what if they use UL barrels and not freak barrels? It's that this is the biggest event I've ever put on. I guess I'll call myself an event organizer. This is like our 10th or 11th clinic, but this is the first one that has like people coming from out of state, and it lasts more than a day or two and has so much stuff. And then you get into prizes and you're like, man, this should be fine. I'm going to give away a prize and they'll be happy. And then you put yourself in the paintballer's point of view and you're like, I don't know how many times I've been in an event and I'm not happy with the prizes. Like, nope, they sucked.
Right.
Ultimately, we show up to play because we want to play. And
Right.
again, this is where promoters and owners in the sport has this kind of messed up monopoly, is that they have you hooked in saying, well, if you want to play, these are your prizes. And most of us are going to play tournaments that we can't even break even on if we win. I will give Parking Paintball Mike his credit with the MPPL. That tournament we just took first in D3 X Ball, we won $3,000 for first place. Our entry was $800, and I think our paint tab came up to $1,256. So after entry and paint, like there's almost $1,000 left over to roll into the next event. And that's the first event that we have podiumed as a program where we actually saw something. When we podiumed that 3-man World Cup where there was like 53 teams, we took third place. We got $0. 53 teams paid $350 or $250 entry, and we got zero. Like, we got a trophy. That's not even including the paint we shot.
That's nuts.
Or the hotel, or the food, or the. I mean, I'm not a fan of the NXL. We'll just say that.
Oh, either am I. I'll play it. I mean, shout out NXL. I'll play your series because it's the only national thing I have. But I swear, I hope someone builds something better and crushes you. I mean, it is what it is. Let's call the dog. Let's call it duck a duck. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is what I have right now. I have the NXL. I have the PPL. If I want to go to California, I have the WCPPL. These are our options. And as paintballers, we're going to play them. We love the sport. We're going to bid, and that's why people. I hate when I see on Facebook where people are like, "Why are you bitching? Just be happy you get to play the sport." No, fuck that. Let's bitch.
A lot of motherfucking money.
Let's play. Let's play, and let's keep bitching until they hear us. Let's give constructive, unconstructive criticism, however you want to give it. Let's criticize the shit out of it until we get the sport we want. Why is it that we used to be on ESPN and we're not anymore? Like, where did we go wrong with? What we go backwards? I think there's definitely a point in this sport where we need to go backwards, burn it down, and rebuild it. Something broke. Something went wrong somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's 2008 when GI Sports acquired all the companies they acquired. But that's just kind of the point we can pin and say, okay, this is when things started going down, when one company had more control than everybody else. And I don't fault them for it. I mean, you're in business to make money. That's ultimately the goal, is to grow and make money. But I think at some point we lost sight of what we're growing or what we're trying to make money at. And so the best we have is the NXL. I mean, what is it? D5 5-man last cup had 60 teams. Entry was $1,000 a team. First place gets $1,200, $1,300 for first place. $60,000 in entry for just that D5 5-man, not counting paint sales. $60,000 in entry, and first, second, and third won't even see a combined $5,000 in prizes. How do you justify it?
I don't think you can.
And of course, I can have this conversation, right?
Because who cares about me? I mean, I'm sure this conversation might get me blackballed from somewhere, somehow. I don't care.
need to do
If you take your ball from me, I'll go buy a ball. If you take your field, I'll go build a field. You know, if you take your paint company, maybe I'll go buy a paint company. I mean, that's my attitude. That's my attitude with this. Like, I'm 32 years old. I got a lot of piss and vinegar left in me. I got a lot of time to go. The military retired me and pays me a nice paycheck, and well, this is pretty productive for my PTSD. Like this, paintball's a 60-hour a week job for me, running free parking and starting all these fires and blowing up all these bridges that I'm going after. Like, you know, this is full-time work, and it's stressful. It bothers my family sometimes. And my wife is like, "Why are you picking a fight today?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It just sounds like a good idea. Let's go." That's what we do. We fight. Every team's got to have an enforcer. Every team's got to have that guy ready to brawl. And I just think I took those fights to a little higher level. You know, we started off with people telling us we couldn't have these paint deals. We started off with people telling us we couldn't get these prices. Started off with people telling us, no, they're going to skip the line at the field because it's their field and they got clout or they got pull, you know, just these kids that have these bully mentality. They're, you know, we're paintballers. We're borderline prodigy paintballers. We're bullies. And I'm like, cool story, bro. I've been to war. You're not going to bully me. This is easy. Like, what have you accomplished in life?
Right.
And I think that sometimes a lot of paintballers forget when they come off that field that there is life out there. And so we've kind of just, we're a group of pissed off guys that are working to upset some people. And you can't do anything great in life without making enemies. You can't do anything great without upsetting people. I mean, unfortunately, someone's got to get hurt. Something's got to be burnt down. Someone's going to lose. But at the end of the day, when all the smoke clears, I hope when it's all said and done, free parking does something better for the sport than what it took. You know, the goal is to leave a better foundation than what we came in with. And for me, I think that's showing players that there's a way to get affordable paint and to be heard by the industry that you fund. Because ultimately we're an industry where the consumer doesn't seem to have the power, but they should.
Yeah, right. It's our money.
It's a lot of our money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
all right, man, we've been killing it for like 2 hours now, man. I mean, you've been at it. So before we get out of here, I want to give you a chance to thank anybody you want. And you were great, so we can't wait to have you back. I mean, I'm sure we got a lot more we could talk about.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can talk forever because if you're willing to listen about paintball, man, I won't shut up. Ronnie Dizon and me both probably share that and similar that we can talk. We both like to talk, and that's probably the biggest person I'd like to thank is Ronnie. I mean, just in the past year, my relationship with him and what he's done for free parking and the growth together. You know, I went to lunch with him and got ramen with him about 8 months ago. I don't know, it was wintertime. We went and got ramen and we had a talk that day. And that day, I mean, it fundamentally changed the way I've approached this whole entire thing. And the motivation came from that lunch. I mean, it came from him and, you know, the realization of this is your life. Why can't you do it? Like, if this is what you want to do, why can't you do it? I mean,
right.
And that's really what it is. I mean, I think my wife for putting up with all this and the family, all the guys in free parking and HK definitely for helping us lead the way in our fight and what we're doing. You know, we embody the whole hostile kid mentality. And, you know, even as our sponsors, they're probably sometimes like, whoa, you guys can't say that. And we're like, but we did. And then we just keep on going. And I'm sure as we get bigger, I'll get in more trouble and I'm okay with it. But man, I want to thank you guys too for having me and all these other podcasts. I love seeing all these podcasts. Like, it's giving me so much more entertainment on YouTube because I don't really care much for regular TV. But one of the greatest things to come from COVID, Paintball Podcast.
Yeah.
From you guys, PTG, Paintball Therapy, all the way down the list, like just everybody, man. There's so much more new content out there on the internet for paintballers to watch and learn from and just help burn time with. Because I don't know about y'all, but when I'm not at the field, I'm still thinking about the field, and what I can find on YouTube is a great substitute for the in-between time.
Exactly. All I do is paintball, eat, sleep, and breathe it all day, every day.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all. Well, that's not all I have to say, but that's pretty much all I'll say today, so we can
No,
keep this
we'll
under 5
definitely have you
hours.
on, man. We'll
Right.
definitely have to get a recap of the next event. We'll see what you guys do. You know what I mean? Hopefully, we wish you the best of luck. You're gonna be our Midwest homie now. We
I'm
want
with
you
it.
in first place for
I'm
that
with it.
event.
We should get you guys to come out to a camp or a program one time. I'm sure we can stuff you guys up in our houses to save on the Airbnb and hotels and get everybody out on the field with some of our pros to just learn together.
Dude, I'd
That'd
love
be a
to.
lot
We
of
definitely
fun.
have to work something out.
We could probably even do like a little in-person podcast with us and Ronnie and me. We all have the setups.
I'd love it.
I'm laughing because I'm sitting here using my iPad, but I actually have a Yeti mic and I have the camera systems and all the stuff. And I'm just like, the iPad's so easy to go to.
Right, it was made it easy.
Quick. Yeah. But
yeah, man. All right, cool. So thanks everyone for joining us. Again, go to DizanaSports.com, use code Overshot, go to VolcanoUSA.com, use code Overshot10 for there. And we want to thank Ryne again for joining us, and we will catch all you guys on the next episode, man.
have a good one.